All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Ragemore Season number 1 of Horizons in Minecraft, or Horizons mod. And so to kick off, let's talk about, or let's go ahead and do our Pam's Harvest Craft. So I had this idea, I've got some strawberries. Go ahead and grab those. And what we're going to do is, if I look through here and I try to find a recipe for Pam's, which I think is jelly. There's lots of different jellies we can do here, and one of them is going to be strawberry jelly, as you can see here. If I do it, let's see how that's going to be made. So I'm going to need my juicer, I'm going to need a saucepan, the strawberry, and the sugar. So let's go get that. I'm going to talk about this mess in a minute after we come right back. But welcome back, everybody. It's been a couple of days, had a pretty good weekend. Finally got my first sunburn of the summer. It's been so cold up here, and we haven't really had much sun. It's been nice to be out in the, finally be out where the sun is. Alright, where's my stuff? I think... Alright, so I've got my juicer, but I don't have a saucepan. So we're going to have to make one of those. Let's see. Hopefully I've got the stuff for that. Let's see. I think I need this. Stick and an iron ingot. Iron ingot. I believe I have iron in here that I was cooking up. Good. Alright. Getting going, getting going. Oh, come on. Alright, so I need a stick, and do I've got that? I must have a stick somewhere. Okay, not in that bag. There we go. Alright, so stick it and iron. Wrong thing. Stick. Iron bar. Saucepan. We have a saucepan. We need our strawberry. We need our sugar. And then we need our... I believe it was a juicer. There we go, and we get our strawberry jelly. So now we can use that. And then what I thought I would go ahead and do is if we use that, we can see what jelly's used in. And here we have a strawberry jelly sandwich. So I need peanut butter and I need some bread. So let's go back because I think let's see, will I need any of these things? Let me look at that one more time. So the peanut butter is made with the juicer. Okay. And we know how to make bread. We know how to, oh, and then we'll need a cutting board too. Okay. So I will need my juicer with me, and I will need the cutting board. So we'll take those with me and we'll run over. Ooh. Never open your door with your bag. There we go. So we're going to make peanut butter jelly sandwiches as our Pam's Harvest Craft recipe. So I've got some, what gave me the idea is I finally found some of these peanuts. I thought that would make it a little bit easier for us. So I've got peanuts. Oh, and I need bread, so I'm going to need a few of these. And a crafting table, which I have down here. Got everything spread out. I need to get it a little bit more organized. So peanuts and a juicer. Gave me one peanut butter. So I got a peanut butter, a jelly, cutting board. Oh, I'm going to need a bread. Got a bread. Perfect. Cutting board, peanut butter, jelly, and perfect. We have a strawberry jelly sandwich, which is a wholesome large meal. Go ahead and take that and try that out. Good stuff. All right, so that's today's Pam's Harvest Craft recipe. peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Those are good. So right now I've got my strawberries growing here. I've got peanuts mixed in here somewhere, which is what gave me the idea in the first place. I think it might be one of these, or these might be corn. But I have them here and here, and then I'm growing my sugar way down there. I'm gonna create a better sugar farm at some point, but right now we're gonna start with that. So we're doing pretty good. So then that leads us into this mess. And what I've been trying to figure out is, let me do this. Looks like the sun's going down. I don't want to get overran by mobs here. So give me a second. I will pause recording, and then I will be right back. All right, here we go. Sorry for that little jump there. Sun is up, and we are ready to go. And so the next little project we have. So we start off with Rotary Craft, and I had to dive into it a little more. And I started trying to figure out how to explain, or how would you start this off if this number one was the only mod you had in your pack, or how would you get started in Rotary Craft before you really got into the big engines? Because the problem I'm seeing is that there's some infrastructure you kind of need before you can really get going. These DC engines don't seem to drive enough equipment to really be able to get you going, and I was trying to figure out what is like the progression level. What could you do? And I tried some AC engines, which seemed to be really buggy in my version of Rotary Craft at the moment. So I was having a lot of trouble getting these to work reliably, linking them together and doing some different things. So I'll still play around with that and show you what those do at some point. I was building different pieces and parts. I had to go out and mine more iron, and there's just all kinds of things that was going on, but I wasn't having success. And then I kind of finally started to figure it out. And I think the way that you'd want to start, or at least the step after what we've already talked about, which is the blast furnace, and you're building your HSLA steel, and you're going to need plenty of it. So when I said maybe start at 3 stacks, you might want to have 4 or 5 stacks of iron before you get going, because you're going to use up a lot building different things. And after that progression, you really need to get yourself set to move, I think, reliably probably to this gasoline engine. The AC engine does kind of work, but you got to have the gold, and it's a little tricky, and maybe it's just I need to understand it better. But to run these grinders, which is where you're going to get your lubricant, which you need for the gearboxes and things like that eventually, you need quite a bit of torque at 4 Nm torque. I think that might be Newton meters, but I'm not really good at this yet, so don't quote me. And then 256 rads, which is the rotation of the actual shaft. All explained in the book. So this combines together and gives us the amount of torque here, which we can see from this one if we also turn this one on. Also, you can see that it combines those two different pieces. So right now it's pulling in 2 kilowatts of power at 256 rads. So it keeps the rotation speed exactly the same, but it increased the power, and I believe it increases the torque. So it brings up the torque. Now the next piece I put here was a gearbox just to try this out, and it's an 8-to-1 gearbox. And what it's doing is pulling and changing that ratio. So now I'm getting I'm still not getting quite as much power. I lost some power, but I really ramped up the torque. That's not needed for this, what I'm about to show you. I was just playing around with the different pieces to see how they worked. You really could just do this little setup here for each of the fermenters to really be able to use these. So my recommendation is creating several of these monitors just so you can play around and see how it works. But then when you want to compact it down, then you just can use 2 DC engines into a fermenter and you should be fine. So the first one you're going to want is, I built 2 because you're going to have 2 functions of what's going on. Eventually we probably would want to automate this. But when you're starting Rotary Craft, you're going to have to first go ahead and do some manual work before you can get your automation up. So you're going to have to step into it. You're not just going to be able to jump right to it. So the first thing we're creating here is our yeast, and you do that using the dirt, and let's see, to create the yeast you place sugar in the top and dirt on the bottom. So I ran out of sugar, I think. Yeah, so I'd have to go get some more sugar. But you put sugar in the top and dirt in the bottom, and it creates the yeast. It does have some type of temperature variation here. So I think it has different efficiency speeds depending on what the temperature is for doing this. So maybe when it's warmer, it does it a little bit better. Maybe if it's too cold, it can't do it at all. You can play around with that. I just left it alone. I haven't done anything to it, and it seems to work okay. The water, you can just use buckets of water and dump it, kind of just right click on it, and it'll dump water in there. It will eventually use that up, and you'll have to add more water back in. Hopefully the idea is all of this can be automated to put in, different things. But for right now, or when you very first start, this will be a little bit more of a manual process, but not too hard to get sugar and dirt, which gives you the yeast. Then you're going to take the yeast and you're going to move that to your second fermenter. Now your second fermenter, or you could use one if that's all you really want to do, but to me it just seemed make more sense to have two of them. Your second one is going to use the fermenter here, and you're going to put your yeast with the water and I believe any type of plant material. So the type of plant material that seemed easiest for me happened to be oak leaves, just because I could have an oak tree farm up at the top, use my shears to go ahead and get oak leaves really fast, and then I can go ahead and create sludge. We'll take a little bit of that out and let that go. So as you can see how fast it's moving, it's going to use that water. I'll have to eventually fill it back up. And again, I believe the temperature has an effect on how fast this works or how well it works. One thing you will notice with most of the machines with rotary craft is also you will see power, speed, and torque. And what's nice about that is if one of these is not filled up, you can tell what you're missing if an engine you hook up to the machine isn't working. So you might have an engine that has enough power, but maybe it doesn't have enough speed, rotational speed, or maybe it doesn't have enough torque on the shaft. You go ahead and make that engine run, or that piece of equipment run. So that's another indicator there. Once you have that, oh boy, we'll go ahead and just try to rush through it here. Once you have that, we'll turn on our, sorry if this is loud too, I tried to turn that on. So we'll turn on our floodlights. All our floodlights on? Yeah, okay, good. Which is another good use for these DC engines. You take your sludge from your fermenter and you take it over to any furnace. I just have a regular furnace here, and you go ahead and you cook it down. So you throw your coal or whatever you want with your sludge, and you get your ethanol crystal. Then you can take your ethanol crystal, put that in your gasoline engine, and it's going to run whatever machine is hooked up to that. And that seems to run quite a few different types of machines, and really seems to be the building blocks to get things going. So here I'm grinding the canola seeds, which I'm growing up in the farm up there. I'm growing those so that I can then at least put a bucket in here to grab the lubricant, because some types of gears, such as these gears here, require lubricant or they get damaged. As you can see at the top of my screen, this one's been damaged because I didn't have lubricant when I started it. Oh, God, that wasn't a creeper. Oh, look at them all. I really like the spring boots, so I definitely recommend picking those up. There we go. All right, so let me go sleep before we get way overran, and we'll check out the last thing I was going to show you, and then maybe we'll do a build of some sort to finish this up. So, all right. Hi. Oh, shoot, there might be a spider up there. I think I hear a spider, so hold on, I'll be right back. All right, here we are back in the bedroom. Sun is rising. And one more quick thing I was going to show you is I was watching Cat Dog Pig Duck, and he was messing around with some carpenter's blocks, which I also like to use. And I thought I saw him use a carpenter hammer on a bed to change the colors. And that did work. So now it looks like I can go ahead and change my bed, because I was going to try to dye it. Which one do I want? Snowflake. Rainbows. I like the snowflakes. I'll put a couple of snowflakes on the bed there. So that looks pretty good. So there we have, that's a cool use for the hammer. I didn't realize it even did that. I didn't know there was a carpenter's hammer until I even saw that. So thanks from CatDog there to show me how to use that. And I thought I saw in his comments that they said you could use dye on the bed, but I tried that and it did not dye it. So either I'm using the wrong dye or I'm not figuring out how it works. I could dye the posts, which I used obsidian there to make the black posts, but I don't know about that. Sorry about how fast I moved too. The spring boots really get you going pretty quick. It changes your field of view too, so that's not me changing the settings. That's how it is when you have... Oh no. Look at that. Well, I can't show you these speed boots. So these spring boots, and hopefully they don't run out of power, do a great job of making sure you don't die. Normally that would have been a death right there, for sure. But they really saved me from that. So as you can see, we can try to jump up and get back up to where we were. I don't remember if there's a way up here or not. I'll probably go around. All right, so now we should do a build. So what I'll do is, I don't know what that was. That's my jumping pool I was trying to make, and I've not been successful in making that look very good. Again, my sugar farm I just mentioned. I like these spring boots. You do have to use the coil springs, or I think they're called the wind springs. And so you need the coil winder, spring winder. And to do that, you need something with some pretty good torque, I believe. Oh, I did create one more thing. Let me show you up here. I created a windmill to create this magnetizer, which was supposed to create magnetic cores, which you put in the AC engines. But I don't know. I'm not having any luck with that working, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'll have to keep looking that up. So, all right. So just a quick recap. My recommendation is you get 4 to 5 stacks of iron ore. You build your blast furnaces to turn that into HSLA ore so you can start building your DC engines and stuff and your other different parts. I'd build plenty of these monitors so you can kind of play around and see what's happening. And then I would go with 2 fermenters, one for your creating your yeast, one for creating your sludge. We can turn these off now while we're not doing anything. Then take your sludge, turn that into ethanol crystals, take ethanol crystals and run any of your gasoline engines that you need to run. So I think that's enough of rotary craft for today. If you get that, at least that set up, then we'll be ready to move on to some of the other cool things, because now that we can actually fuel these, we can start playing around with some of the other type of cool little things. So we have grinders, and there's utility blocks and defense blocks and offense blocks, and just so much different things we can do. We're gonna have a lot of fun with the different rotary craft, and we can start trying to look into automation. So that'll kind of be the next piece. So let me go gather some materials. Probably some more air balloon stuff, because I think it's time to maybe build another helicopter, maybe, or maybe we need an airplane of some sort, because I feel like I'm building an airplane. So let me gather some materials and we'll come right back. All right, so to finish off the episode, I think what we really need to do is build us a workshop so we're not just working out here in the open area. So I think I'm going to build me a workshop right to the side of this hill, and that'll kind of allow me to continue building along this kind of tall little mountain here. And instead of building another Archimedes ship, so we'll save that for next episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve this out, and then I'll bring you guys back in, and then we'll just do a little bit of the finishing on the inside and maybe start moving our machines in, and we'll call it an episode. So stay tuned and let me clear this out, and I'll be right back. All right, I have it dug out, and I'm just playing around with some of the different types of glass, and I'm about to change those doors out. I'm going to add some glass to it here pretty quick. But this is going to be just my little workshop area. This will be where like the wine springs will be, where I can rewind those up. It'll probably be, maybe the fermenters will stay in there so I can produce the fuel and some of the smaller machines. So, and then eventually I'll get to the bigger machines and we'll do bigger rooms for more automation. And we'll do some farming automation. We're gonna have so much fun with Rotary Craft as we learn it. So I'm gonna cut it off here, and I'm gonna say thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next episode.